Thank you for listening to the opening statement with Joe Shannon. You can find us on the internet at shannonlawgroup.com or telephone our office at 312-578-9501. Have a terrific day. So I'm really excited to have Mark Kumar on the show. Mark is what we call a serial entrepreneur, which means this guy finds the need and then fills it and does a good job. And so we're going to find out how he came up with that kind of thinking, and then also, what kind of activities led to that. So welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. I truly appreciate it. I know we're going to have a really, really amazing time, and I look forward to having this conversation with you. It's going to be amazing.
Great. So Mark, tell us a little bit about, where you're from, how, your folks, your siblings, all that type of stuff.
I'm based out of New York, Queens, New York, and my parents are retired, so they're back home in India. I have one sister, and she's here, lives with me in the house. So we just a very close-knit family. For me, family is more important, and then, more than anything else. So I take my family very seriously, and I keep my friend circle very, very small, because I don't want to have like one of those fake friends. They're there, but when you need them, they're no longer there.
Yeah, right. So your folks, what did they do for a living?
They are retired. My dad used to be an engineer. He used to work on the bridges, the big bridges, help them build them. So it was like engineering part there.
Wow. So he was a civil engineer then?
I don't know exactly the title, to be honest with you, because he was in a different line of work than I was. He was like more like a bridge, building stuff in there, building houses, and then cranes and things of that nature. So I don't know exactly what the title is, but I just call him an engineer.
That's cool. He was building stuff, right, Mark?
Right.
Okay, cool. So tell us a little about your education.
My education, well, I passed my high school, went to college, and while I was going to college, my doctor, because coming from the European Indian background, my dad wanted me to become a brain surgeon. And that's like either, when you're in an Indian family, either a doctor, lawyer, those are the two ones that they want you to be, or an accountant for that matter. So I tried that for about a year and a half, and then it didn't work out. So I'm like, I'm gonna go and try to do something else, like go into computers, because at that time I was like, oh my God, I was like so into it. And then my dad he's pretty hardcore. He's like, you wanna become a doc? If you don't want to become a doctor and you want to go into the computer industry, you gotta do this on your own. And I was like 22, 21, 22, something like that, whatever. And I was like, okay. So I went on my own, got my went to college for like full time. I had 2 jobs at the time. So for about 2 years, I have maybe 3 to 4 hours of sleep 7 days a week.
So where'd you end up going to college?
I went to Queensboro first, and then Queens College, and then York College. So I have my bachelor's and all. So yeah.
Nice. And then was it in some sort of computer background, or what was it?
It was in a computer science major, and that was it. And then I moved on went to Maryland. I got a job there, and then that's where the whole entrepreneurial journey started, where I went into this business, the photography business, and then that was it. That's when I got the bug, and I'm like, I want to do this. And then
cool.
That was it. Yeah.
So tell me about your first camera.
The first camera, that was actually a really, really like the plant or the seed of the tree that grew up to be right now. So I got my first camera for Christmas, and it was just a Christmas present. A family member gave it to me, and then I just like any guy who like get electronic, like, hey, I want to take a picture, I want to use this thing, whether it would be a car, whether it would be any new toy, like, hey, I want to do this, let's do this, what I can do. And then one thing led to another. I'm like, I kind of fell in love with this. Like, I like the process of taking pictures. And then also because it was a digital camera, I could see the result and I could show other people, they could see it and they get excited. In turn, I get excited because I'm like, I just made your day by taking a good picture of you. So that was like a good experience. And then later on, I think it was like 2 or 3 months later on, one of my family members like, hey, I know you have a camera, you're a professional. And my mom like, I'm not really a professional. I'm just trying to figure this thing out, see how it works. And it's like, you're a professional. I have a friend who wants to have a portrait or I think it was a family event that they want you to capture it and they're going to pay you. I'm like, they're gonna pay me. I don't know anything, but I'm glad to take your money. I mean, not in that sense, but I'm sure you felt like that they're gonna pay you because they saw my pictures and the quality was pretty decent. And then that's where it went, and that's where the side hustle nation thing started, like going to work and then doing the photography on the side, and that was like, wow, mind blowing stuff.
So were you able to make a profitable business out of photography?
Oh hell yeah! I mean, I started with the one client with a friend of the friend, and then moved on to doing the family portrait. Then I did the wedding photography, and then later on I did the fashion photography. So I covered all three fields, and was making pretty good money. And then that was on a side hustle. And then what I found out later on was that you can do the job or a skill level, and then you have money. But if you turn around, if you wanna increase your income, you teach other people who are just starting out by showing them the shortcut way to get to where they want to get to a lot faster, because you already been there. And then you show them like, hey, if you do this, you're going to avoid truckload of problems. And that's where I realized like, holy wow, if I could just share my personal experience, my advice that helped me move ahead. And if somebody who's just starting out, if it took me, let's say 1 year, if I could help them get there in 2 months, that will speed track their process, or I mean their success rate by 10,000%. And that's what I did. So what I did was like, I created my little own meetup group, or as a workshop where I have people who were just starting out in photography, or people who were been there for, I don't know, let's say 5-6 years. So one individual who was there came into my workshop. He was photographing for about 10 plus years, but still didn't have the confidence level to say, hey, I want to go charge people. So I had this small group of people, I think like 15-20 people, where I taught them everything that I knew and how do you get clients to pay you for the thing that you want to go, based on what I did to get clients. And then people who were in there, they were like, wow, this is amazing stuff. And then I was like, wow, if I don't have photography gigs, I have this other side business that I can teach other photographers to do it. And then that was going pretty well. And then summertime came and nobody wants to go out and shoot in the hot weather. And so what I decided what to do was like, let me just do a webinar, online webinar, where a couple of people will come in here and I teach them like how to edit pictures, or I teach them about the business side, or any photographic technique or camera technique that I could teach them that will help them speed up their learning process, so their picture qualities will be a lot better. So I sent out an email to people of mine. It was like 200-300 people at the time. And then 20 people signed up, and each one was like I think it was like 20-50 bucks. I don't remember exact number. And that was like spurred the moment, like, wait, this online business thing is amazing, because I could literally be sitting at home in my t-shirt and shorts in the summer weather. I think it was July, I believe. And then I can help other people learn things at the comfort of their own house. That's like, wow, I gotta figure this thing out. And then
So did that become a business?
Yeah, definitely did.
So tell me about that business. Are you still doing that business?
Oh, I am doing it, but in a different industry. So what happened, the photography was one of them. And then I went into like the web development business, because I was doing all these photography thing, but still I didn't have a website. It was just like all word of mouth. And then I got tired of carrying my photography book and showing clients like, hey, here's the picture, here's the picture, here's the picture. And then I figured, let me just go get a website. And so I went in there, registered my name, and then I used like what everyone uses it. It's called the WordPress. Everyone uses it. It's great, don't get me wrong. But the challenge that I faced every single time they did an upgrade, something broke down on the website, and it just shut my whole website down. Like, people who would go to it the day before it would work, and the second day they would show their relative to say, hey, look at this photographer, what do you think of it? It would not work. for whatever reason. I don't know. So I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. So I went in and tried to teach myself the basic web development technology like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so on and so forth. And then as I was doing it, I was like, wait a minute. If I did what I did with the photography business, I could do the same thing in the web development business and then learn it, teach other people only the things that I know, so that way they can get ahead. That would be awesome. So I created a little small community, same thing. And I told them like, hey, I am not professional. I am just sharing my experience, my opinion, and my own things of doing things. If you feel like that thing can help you get there wherever your goal is a lot faster, I'll be more than happy to do so. I would definitely put that in the disclaimer. And most of the people were like, hey, I'm okay with it. Just let me get to where I want to get there a lot faster. And that's it. So that became a really profitable business because not only that, I was actually enjoying it, but also I was helping other people to do it. So it's like the same principle. Go into the industry, actually learn whatever you're doing, whatever craft it is, that you actually learn it, apply it, and then do something for yourself in that business, and then turn around, teach other people. And
so you said it was profitable.
Yes.
Did you end up selling that business?
When I say it's profitable, meaning I have students who pay me or take my courses.
Okay.
I didn't sell it around. Like I'm gonna keep that because I haven't sold any of the business that I have because I actually like it because it's like my little baby. I want to take care of it. I don't
so how many businesses do you have now?
Let's see. I have right now. I'm not doing photography anymore because I have other things on the plate. So one of them is the web development, and another one is a podcasting. Podcasting in a sense like where I'm not just like I'm a podcaster, but I have a web hosting service that provides podcasters to hold their MP3s or their podcast episodes on the platform, and then we distribute it to Apple's Google Podcasts and things of that nature, and any other platform that will accept it.
How's that business going?
It's picking up pretty good, not as fast as I would like, just like any other business, but sure. It's a work in progress. I just started like last November when I started my own podcast, and then the journey through that process, that was interesting one. And the whole business that came along was like, hey, I have listened to podcasts for like more than 4 years because as I was traveling in my cars, I had like an hour and plus commute. There was either I could listen to the radio or I could listen to something that will help me teach a thing. So I listened to Gary Vee, I listened to Pat Flynn, and all those other people that have the podcast. I'm like, oh my God, Tim Ferriss was another one, and then Tony Robbins was another one. So it's like a bunch of people. I'm like, wow, this thing is great. So I'm like, I got so addicted to it to the point where like I am like hooked to these. I look forward to getting in my car and listen to something that will help me open up my mind. Even if throughout the whole podcast, I get one idea. Yeah. That itself is going to change my life and it will help me move forward in life. So that's
so Mark,
great. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So, are these side gigs now, or are these your gigs?
These are my gigs. Yes.
Okay. So you quit your day job?
You could definitely say that. Yeah.
So, the one thing that I tell people is to get a side gig. Figure out something that, well, it can be a hobby, right? I mean, it can be something that that's something that's interesting to you. It sounds like to me that you found these different things to do, were interested in them, and then figure out a way to monetize it a little bit. But it doesn't seem like work to you because you're enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like for me now, it becomes like breathing. I don't even think about it because these things that actually, like you say, I enjoy it. I don't think about it work. If you enjoy your work, it's no longer work. You look forward to it. Like one of the projects that I worked on for web development, I was up for 41 hours nonstop just working at it.
What do your folks think about your businesses now that you're not a doctor or a lawyer? What are they saying?
When I tell them like, hey, my dad wanted me to become a doctor, but I'm no longer there. It's like, it's okay. You don't need to. You actually enjoy it because I know some doctors who are really, really good at it. But by the time I get home, they are miserable.
Yeah, right.
So
No, I get it. Yeah. So, and they're able to get on the internet and watch what you're doing too, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I could work from pretty much anywhere, which is for me, the option or the freedom to do what I want when I want is a lot more than the money itself.
Right. I understand that. Yeah. Because, one of the things that, in this whole evolution of, um, the internet becoming basically, it doesn't matter where you're located. For example, we can do a podcast. You can do a podcast from India. You can do it from China. You can do it from the United States, wherever, Queens.
Yep.
And nobody would know the difference. It's the quality of the ideas that's important.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So, so you're hanging out in Queens, New York, right?
Yes, that's where I'm based out of right now.
Why are you in New York?
That's the best place to be.
Why? Tell me, why is New York great?
The reason why New York is good is number one, because this is where I grew up. For me, that's home. No matter, I've been to other states. For me, New York is always home. I don't know why, but it's just like where you grew up, that's where your memories are, where your childhood is. So that's where I am. Yeah.
That's cool. So are you a sports fan?
I used to be basketball. I was into basketball, but now I'm into bodybuilding. That's just something that I enjoy personally. Like working out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for yourself or to go watch it,
Or just for myself. And anybody else who needs advice, I just share them. I don't charge them anything. It's just like free advice because I don't want to get into that because it's complicated. Because people want results, especially in the fitness industry, they want instant gratification times 100. So let's say if you want something, let's say a person comes to you like January 1st. Hey, I want to lose weight. And by January 15th, I want to lose about 10 pounds. Not going to happen.
Yeah,
unreasonable explanation. So it's like, no.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle thing, right?
Exactly.
So what's the business that you're doing now that's probably the most profitable?
Probably be the web development one, definitely. That's probably bringing in most of the money.
And then how are you getting customers?
Right now is the YouTube is one of the by far is the most advertising wise. It's like top of the line, and then I'm doing the Facebook advertisement, and as well as the people that I know. Like, hey, if you need a custom made software, you can call me and I'll create it for you. And also I'm part of this community, which is called the Node.js. It's something similar to WordPress, but where I created a custom made content management system where people can use it, and then that becomes itself as an advertisement. People that use it, they love it, and they're gonna tell like, hey, Mark Kumar created this, here's the link, and then do that, and then that becomes like a branding thing. Mark Kumar is the WordPress alternative to create your content management system that doesn't break.
So do you license it, or is it just free?
It's a free. I do not charge for it, just free. Anyone can use it, they can modify it, no strings attached to it.
Wow. And then you self-learned that.
What's that?
You self-learned that.
Yes.
And then invented it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow,
absolutely.
You must be a pretty smart cookie. How many people are using that? Do you know, Mark?
Last I recorded, I think it was like 200 plus. Last time it was like 2 plus, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, 200 plus.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's got to feel pretty good, huh?
Yeah, definitely. And especially the emails you get like, hey, man, this is really good. And I want to take this. And most of the emails that I get, hey, I love the system, but can I modify it to do X, Y, and Z? I'm like, yeah, it's free. You could do whatever you want with it. I will not be offended. If you take that apart, use part of the code out of the system in your own project, feel free to do so.
So I was reading somewhere that you're doing some another business where it's a cloud podcast storage type of business.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
That is inspired based on, like I was saying before, I was listening to podcasts. I love podcasting, and I think that is the most fastest way to gain a skill and also take your business to the next level, because unlike reading, unlike watching a video, you have to set aside a time and a place where you have to focus on it. Whereas podcasting, you literally plug in your earbuds and you can do anything you want. So it's a multi-purpose platform. You can learn in any way. So the company that I have is called simplepodcastcloud.com, and we offer our podcasters or our customers to host their episodes on our platform. The only key difference between us and the competitors are we have one plan. When you sign into it and you pay for it, you will be grandfathered into that plan. And also under one account, you can host as many shows, as many episodes, as big as your episodes are. It could be 100 meg, 200 megs, whatever, it doesn't matter. And also we give you unlimited bandwidth. No one else out there can do that. So put things in perspective. So let's say January 1st come and you wanted to have a podcast or a podcast show for fitness. Come February, your interest grew and now you want to have another podcast show for marketing. Our competitors will say, hey, you can have one show and one show only. You're going to pay X amount of dollar. If you want to have another one, you have to pay extra money. With us, you can have 10, 100,000 different shows under one account. We will never charge you anymore.
So tell me, how much does that cost? You know, for somebody
currently, we're just beta testing it. At the moment, it's just $30. It's extremely competitive.
So who's your competitors?
There's a lot of people like Lipsyn, Podbean, and then Swatcast, and then a whole bunch of others out there. So we just started it like last November. So we are slowly gaining momentum, but the people who were using like Lipsyn, Podbean, and other people, when they switch over, they are like, oh my God, this is like a no-brainer. Like, I don't even understand how come other people don't have this. Because it's so easy to use. The interface itself, I designed them myself because of the web development technology thing. And I made it so simple where you click, within 5 minutes, you can have your podcast up and running. And then not only that, we also added another feature where throughout your whole year, you have each single month that will visually show you how many different podcasts you have released and how many different podcasts you're going to release in the future. So it's like a nice little calendar view.
Wow. And then, is that kind of like a station?
How do you mean like station?
Well, so, you know, different radio stations, is your company like a radio station then that people can go to, or what?
No, it's not it's not in that sense where we are not a radio station. Other people, like for example, podcaster, they can have their own radio station. We'll just help them get distributed to Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, things of that nature. So we work behind the scenes.
Okay.
But the spotlight will be on the podcasters.
So tell me then, what's going on in 2020, you know, the next year? What's going to happen with these businesses? Which one's taking off and which ones you're going to put on the shelf? What's going to happen here?
I'm going to definitely stick with the two that are right now main priority for me is the web development and podcast. Those are the only two I'm going to be focusing on moving forward.
And how do you market
2021. Huh?
How do you market those?
At the moment, it's word of mouth and then a little bit of Facebook advertisement. That's about it. And then people who I do like a webinar thing, like get a whole bunch of people in there, say, hey, we have this platform that you're really going to enjoy it, give it a try, and we do give you a 14-day trial. You don't need to enter any credit card information. You have full access to the whole system. You could definitely try it out and let us know. And if you have any questions, we are obviously here to help you support it.
And then you do probably YouTube tutorials too?
Not for the Simple Podcast yet, but that is in the plan for the future, for the next 3 to 4 months that we'll be doing it.
Great. And then what's your goal on how much audience you want to build?
I think it would be ideal in the next 5 years if we can have 1,500 people, paid clients using the Simple Podcast Cloud, that would be ideal per month.
Okay. And then if you had that, you think you could make a dent in making a difference for people, with your product?
Oh, absolutely. I think if once people recognize there are other alternative options that are better than the big guys, then they are more inclined to say, hey, if I can have just one account, one payment, and I can have all these different varieties of options, then why not? It's like saying, you want to get a car, right? And then someone say, hey, if you want to get a car, great. And you're going to have to pay extra for the AC, and then extra for the power steering, extra for the power window. Or you have another guy like, hey, you want to pay one price and you get all those features. Which one would you pick?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What else do you like? What are you reading nowadays? You reading any books?
If I'm being honest, I don't even remember the last time I actually read a book. It's been like 10 plus years.
Is it just because you get all your knowledge through podcasts and listening?
Yeah, I think definitely that's the case, because I want to get something extremely fast. I just don't have the patience anymore, because the way the technology is moving forward, I want to get the fastest way possible. And then if I want to not read a book, I just download an audio book or go to audible.com or something like. Or if you want something quick, YouTube it, things like that. Or if I want to get like intensive training, I just take a regular video course that I can take and then learn something, whatever the skill they're teaching me.
I guess I'm a little bit of a dinosaur because I'm still reading some books every now and then. I kind of like the ability to kind of crash on a couch and read a book and get out of the digital world for a while. But I think I don't see people in their 20s and 30s and 40s reading books. You're right. Yeah, it's more of a visual
one will
thing.
because like I said, everybody wants instant gratification. Reading a book, obviously, everybody has a different reading speed. Some people might be reading 10 words per minute, other could be reading 200 minutes. But when you listen to something or you watch something, it's always consistent. Whether the audiobook will be 30 minutes, it'd be 30 minutes. YouTube video will be 5 minutes, it'd be 5 minutes. Everyone can finish at the same time.
Right. Oh, that is good. That is good. So, so you're saying that 1,500 users would be good within 5 years. Any other new products or services you're working on right now?
This is a little behind the scene thing, but I will share with you, and especially with your audience.
Oh, hey, everybody, this is behind the scenes. This is it.
Exactly, behind the scene. So I am in the process of creating a online course where it will teach people how they can start their online business, whether if they don't know anything, or the only key requirement will be for you to have a skill that you could teach somebody. And what does that mean? Meaning that you have to know something so well. If I wake you up in the middle of the night and ask you a specific question related to that skill, if you can answer it, then you can teach somebody. And that's what I teach other people, how to do that. That's what I'm working on. So create a course. It'll be very, very specific. It'll teach you exactly what you need to do, meaning how do you go about taking your skill, marketing it, creating a personal brand, and get clients.
Interesting. When's that rolling out?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. So probably like in November, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, that's one thing that I've kind of figured out is that you've got to have some sort of value added to be interesting to people on, in anywhere, even in discussions. So, for example, I'm a trial lawyer, and there's a lot of them, right? You've seen the billboards, you've seen the ads, that type of thing. And so my thing is that, I can go on my past results of how I've taken cases from, the time when somebody was, severely injured to all the way through to a jury trial and a verdict and all that stuff. So that's kind of my value added and how to deal with that. So there's a value added there. If you're just a guy that wants to talk about stories and that type of thing, there's not much there, is there?
Not at all.
Yeah. So, what do you do for, I mean, do you ever get out and have some fun and do something for entertainment at all, Mark? Or are you all work?
All the time. Me
all right,
and my
so
wife.
Tell me what are you doing for hobbies and all that kind of stuff? What's going on?
Me and my wife, we like to cook, so we experiment with all different kinds of food. Not only just well, now we're doing it at home because of the Corona COVID-19 thing and all, but prior to that, we would go to like a different restaurants and try out different foods. And then we actually enjoy that process and then go to different resorts or different places to venture out. And then whatever else we can find. Literally, if we want, like we are so spontaneous when we try to tell people like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. Like if we'll be laying in bed and then somehow 2:00 in the morning, hey, you want to go do that? I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So we just pick up our car and go for it. Like middle of the night.
Well, in New York, you can do that, right?
Well, yeah, it's a good place to be because if you were like somewhere else, like down south, that's not an option because everything closed down. I believe at like 10, 11 o'clock the latest.
Yeah, right. So, so tell me about some of your spontaneous trips. Where'd you go?
Oh gosh, we went to Poconos. That was like a little bit of plan, but at the moment we didn't know what was going to happen, but we just went there. And then my wife has her own little YouTube channel, which is like all about lifestyle, what we do, and we try to help people. And she loves that because I inspired a little entrepreneur in her, and she used to be like what you call a salesperson at a bank at a student loan. She used to give out a student loan when she was living in India, but now she's here. So I'm like, hey, you could continue to do that, or you could do your own entrepreneur thing. I'm like, okay, let's do that. So she has been doing her own little a YouTuber. Now she calls herself, I'm a professional YouTuber. I'm like, yes, you are, honey.
That's awesome. That is great. I tell you, my little guy, my 11-year-old, he likes to watch the YouTube and figure that stuff out. But, the one thing that's interesting to me is, so for example, I have different, at my house, some things break, like the lawnmower won't start or, the trimmer doesn't work right. And every single time I can put that product in and I can put in what the problem is. And there's always somebody that can explain exactly, the problem to me. It's amazing to me. And in the old days, you had to bring it to somebody, right? But now all this stuff comes to you. So, this stuff to me is at our fingertips, which is it's pretty amazing.
I'm so glad you brought that up because think about it. After you watch that, let's say 5-10 minutes of video, right? And you actually do it and you got the result. Tell me, how does that feel?
I mean, it's empowering, right? Yeah, and so and I think that's kind of the route that, when I think about, our economy, and how it's evolving. I'm a history major, so I've studied history, obviously, of America, but other stuff too throughout the world. But in America, we started out as farmers, and farming for a long time, and then the Industrial Revolution came about, and then all of the different automobiles. I mean, my grandmother was born in 1888, I believe it was, in Ireland. Came over in the early 1900s, and rode for a car for the first time. And then, during her lifetime, she lived to be 102 or 103. During her lifetime, she saw, the airplane, all these types of things. But she didn't live to see, I think it was 13 years ago, a couple days ago, that the first iPhone was distributed. 13 years. So that, to me, that has probably been the most innovative product that's ever hit. I mean, I'm recording this on an iPhone right now. And, you know, the camera in this iPhone and, you know, and the computer in these iPhones are, I mean, Apollo 13 would, you know, could have used it, right? So to me, the technology of us being at leisure, being able to work from our houses, it's going to change. That's why we have I think we have so many people that do exercise and lifestyle and diet stuff, because we're much more sedentary than we used to be when we were farmers. When we're farmers, I mean, have you ever worked on a farm, Mark?
I have not, but I have built a mini farm literally last weekend for my wife, which is like 5x3. It's like a planting garden kind of thing that I built for my wife. So it's an experience. I would definitely have a newfound respect for people who do that. Literally.
No, so if you work at a farm, you know, and there's a bunch of livestock and animals and stuff, you're up at 5 a.m. and it's all manual labor, and you're doing stuff all day long, and then by the time 7 or 8 o'clock, you're in bed.
Yep.
But the manual labor kept people fit and in shape, and so now that we're sedentary, I mean, my kids just got me an Apple Watch for Father's Day, and it keeps track of how much I'm standing up, how much I'm moving around, how much my heartbeat, because it would have been ridiculous to a farmer, because it would have blown it up. But now it's going to tell us to, hey, get up and stand and walk around. So I think there's going to be even more information, either through podcasts, you know, videos, all that type of stuff, on how to live a healthy lifestyle. And I think, you know, you call yourself a lifestyle entrepreneur. I think there's going to be more lifestyle stuff. Don't you think that?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Yeah. You know,
because
like,
you know, and yeah, so, and I think it's going to be very interesting, because I think you're going to be able to pick the flavor that you want. You know, if you want, you know, we're also diverse. You could figure out, you know, what type of people you want to connect with, and how it works. And so it's very, very interesting to me. But I think you're on the cutting edge here, Mark, of what you're doing, and I'm really interested to see your new one that's coming out, where you have your shows on how people to market their products and their services.
Okay, I look forward to it. You know, it's a work in progress. I definitely want to give people the stuff that actually work based on everything that I have done, things that I've used, because I don't want to put out a course just because of, hey, whatever, and try this, it may or may not work. I'm like, I know it's gonna work if you put in the work and you take action. It's going to work like 100% guarantee. Well, I shouldn't say guarantee. It worked for me. It's a possibility how much effort you put into it, because I think some of the challenges that people have, especially if they want to open up a business, especially online business, they have this idea, and then it's very personalized to them. Like, hey, I enjoy this. I want to do this. I want to do this. What they forget is like, it's good that you want to do all of these things, but there's a process that I go through. It's like a business validation course. Like, how many other people, based on your idea, are actually having problems that you can provide solution to it? So putting things in perspective, why would you go to a doctor? Take a wild guess. Only reason why you would go to a doctor is because you are sick. That is a problem. Whether you have a cold, you have a headache, or something's wrong with your leg or something, whatever, it doesn't matter. As once you start to think problem-oriented first, and taking that problem and putting it to solution-oriented, so problem, solution, problem, solution, you don't have to spend as much time and effort in running your business, because you literally are providing solutions to the problems people already have, and your business will be profitable. Like, for example,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, for example, the simple podcasting, one of the problem is that people don't have an option. So they want to have one account under everything unlimited. That was a problem. I'm like, hey, we'll give you this. And then we don't even have to do any hard selling per se, because people who are podcasters, they're looking for this kind of platform.
Yeah. No, my thing is, a lot of people want to get into providing a service, but the thing is, I think it's the other way around. You have to find the need first.
Yep.
And then once that need is found, then you figure out a way, whether you have an elegant way to resolve that need. And so that's kind of the route to go, rather than, hey, I really enjoy doing this. Well, that's not the approach. It should be always, consumer driven. Let's go back to the iPhone. People wanted to connect,
right, and
they've always wanted to connect. And so you're finding the best way for them to connect, with an elegance, and then also do computing and actually do things that computer does in your hand, and be a photographer. All sorts of unlimited apps. So to me, that's probably one of the most amazing things. But I agree. I like the validation issue that you talk about is a business validation thing. I think that's the move, and figuring out a way to make money on these things. Like, for example, in my business, I don't get paid unless I come through for people. So there's an economic incentive for me to only take cases that I know that I have a really good chance of coming through for them, because I'm not going to get paid unless I do really well for them. Right? So if you can come up with an idea, Mark, where it's a win-win for the client, so your cost is more of an ancillary thing rather than some sort of speed bump for them, whereas you're helping them make a ton of money, and they don't care about it. They want to pay you more, because the more you make, the more that's the kind of the cost analysis for any future business that you have. I'm hopeful that you get into that, because that's a great route to go.
Yep.
So, well, listen, I really appreciated talking to you. It's been a lot of fun. And so it's a hot day in Queens today?
It is a beautiful summer hot day. I love hot weather. So yes.
Yeah. You're gonna go out and have some fun today?
Oh yeah, and then 4th of July weekend is coming. We're definitely gonna check out the beach if we have the opportunity. I like hot weather. My wife doesn't as much, so we'll have to compromise somehow.
How far is the beach from where you're at?
It's about like 40 minutes, depending on which one we go to. So Rockaway Beach is about 40 minutes. The Jones Beach is about an hour and a half, give or take. So
nice.
Not that bad.
Yeah, and are those in Long Island, or where are they?
Rockaway Beach is in Far Rockaway, but the Jones Beach is Long Island. So you're right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I hope you have a great 4th of July weekend. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us. It's fascinating how you went from being a doctor or a lawyer to being the IT guy and the web developer, and the podcast thing. You may have something big there, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody who I tell this, because it's like no brainer. Like you cannot, people, especially who are starting out, people, they don't care, because they're like, okay, whatever, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. But the people who's in this for a long run and they have a business, they're like, I want this. I need to have this, because that's part of my business. If my business goes down, I have no money. So they are literally looking for this kind of platform.
Well, good. Well, I'm rooting for you from the sidelines.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it's definitely been a pleasure being here.
Sure. And then when you have your next big breakthrough, come on and we'll talk about it, and you can tell us how you did it.
All right. Definitely will do. Definitely share all the